Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 228. This show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we finally emerge from the corridors of time, ready to catch up on all things Destiny 2. We give our take on the recent community puzzle, thoughts on how this season has been received by players, and finally talk about what we've been up to in the new year so far. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It is AER0KNIGHT and Mr. CyborgSasquatch. What's up, buddy?
Hello, Guardian.
How are you?
Hey, man, just another week in paradise.
Just another week, man. I feel like we were just chatting.
Yeah. We do this every week, back to back.
Doing
our thing, playing the game.
Grinding it out.
Every reset here, doing the
Nothing
show.
Different. Business as usual.
Business as usual. Everything's fine.
It's all good. Nobody's wondering at all.
My PC died. I'm so sad.
I know you're on a pretty random setup right now to make this happen. The things we do or have to do sometimes.
Yeah, we're just joshing you guys. We know it's been a while.
Yes, we are. It was, we're really stretching it out here. 30 to 40 seconds of acting like we haven't recorded a show for the last month.
Right.
Sorry, listeners. We've tried to keep you updated, but we know you'll understand. We know.
We appreciate your understanding.
We do.
But let's tell people what's been going on. I mean, things have been crazy.
Man, yes. Things are just busy, dude. And
life
you and I,
yes. Just life,
Yes.
There's a lot going on.
I mean, and there has been for a while, but we do what we can to get the show out, and it's sometimes it's a challenge, other weeks it's not, but man, just the last little bit, we've both just been pretty busy dudes, as I'm sure many of our listeners can relate, and we love to do the show, we love to put the show out, but just lately, there's just a lot going on, a lot of stuff.
Well, to be fair as well, like I had the flu. I was in bed for like 4 or 5 days, and then came back, and probably took me like a full week till I felt like I was back to normal. Like there was a night we were gonna record, and I totally went MIA on AER0KNIGHT because I was just like, I can't do it.
Health.
I'm so tired.
Being healthy comes first.
Just totally like,
because I've been on that.
Zonked out on the couch and disappeared from the world. I feel pretty bad for that one, but
and that happened. I mean, you got that after we had already discussed just how busy things were and everything, and that trying to stay ahead.
Like icing
and the
on
new
the
year
cake.
was coming. Yeah, and it's just like, man, it is right now.
Yep. And then this week, or I don't even know when it was, the other night, my computer died on me. Like literally while here's the irony. I like watching a video and then like about to click to launch Destiny 2 and it just powers down. I'm like, okay, universe, I get it. You don't want me to play games right now.
We haven't talked since we talked on the phone earlier this week. You thought it was your power supply and you got one in. Have you had time to?
Yeah, swapped it out, and that was not
the
solution.
That sounds like what happened to me a couple years ago. I ended up, we were hoping this would be the case for you, but it ended up being my motherboard.
Yeah, I think it's the dreaded motherboard, which, it's not like terribly expensive, but you have to like rip apart your whole rig.
Right.
Pull out your CPU, like everything to get it all back together. So
got to make time to do that. Yeah. That's for sure.
And I mean, I'm not going to buy the same one because this one died after 2 years. So
yeah,
I'm having to spec another one out and make sure I get the right, get the right one, make sure everything's compatible. And
that's the other thing. It's like, then if you got to do all that, it's like, well, can I do some other things?
Right.
Upgrade some other things? Do I even mess with it?
Right.
Yeah, so I already hinted at it, I think, but just so you guys know, Cyborg is like working up the alternate rig like crazy tonight.
Oh, man.
He's got the Surface out,
I'm using an iPad. I'm using a Surface Pro or whatever it is that I have hooked up with my mixer, and it's working for now.
It's working. Yeah,
It's
we had
running.
to troubleshoot a little bit at first.
Took me a while.
We are
to get it
good to
running.
go. And that's what I was meaning by the things we do. It's, you know what? It's like, it's time to get a show out, and you made it happen.
Look, but I think that's nothing compared to the time that the power went out at my house, and I recorded while the power was out. Because I hooked up.
That was pretty intense.
I think I hooked up a USB mic to my Surface that was charged and running off battery power, and then I think I like got on Discord on the phone, maybe. Something.
So. Did your hotspot?
We made it work.
That reminds me of a time. This is funny. We didn't know we were going to do this when we recorded and we got the whole show done. I'm pretty sure this is how it went down. And as soon as we got off the Discord call, and I think we did some editing and stuff, my internet went out.
Oh, I
you remember that?
Yeah.
And then I fell asleep on the floor of our game room. And I woke up at like 4 a.m. and the internet was back up, and I uploaded the show
because
I think it was like the night before we got live.
Download the source file
to
do the editing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I remember that, and I remember you like telling me like my internet's out, and I was just like, well, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing you can do. So I was like, I guess we'll see. You know, we'll just have to go late or something. And then I remember like waking up that morning, and you were like, yeah, so I fell asleep. I woke up at 4 and I did the show, and I was like, wow, good for you. That's dedication.
Funny, man. Because I remember I was like, man, I hope this is random. Like, we didn't have nothing crazy. There was no weather or anything like that. I'm like, this must just be some sort of like maintenance or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
And so I just like sat on the floor, just chilling or something. I don't even remember, in my room. And I eventually laid my head down, and then I like woke up, and it's like, oh, the internet's back on.
Good old falling asleep on the carpet.
You know, man.
That's like my son's favorite place to just like randomly decide it's nap time. Like it'll be like 5 o'clock. It'll be like, it's kind of quiet. Where is he? We'll be like walking his room. He's just like sprawled out on the carpet, just laying on his stomach asleep.
That's funny. That's funny, man. Cause I still, even in my mid 30s, I can sleep anywhere, anytime. So we'll do the same thing. Like we'll camp out in the game room on the weekends, sleep on the floor or something like that. And it totally works.
Yep.
But anyways, you got some random backstory there, listeners, on some of the ways we get the show out. But here we are. We want to get a show out this week. We do have some updates for you.
Yes.
Life's just been busy. I'm sure you all understand and can relate, but we are thrilled to be recording a show right now. There's a lot to talk about for sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back and talk some Destiny. I feel like it's been ages. And
it does. When you do it every week, it does. It feels like it's been a bit.
Yes.
They're probably thinking the same. We appreciate everybody that's messaged us as well. It means a lot that you miss us in the show.
Understandably concerned.
Yes.
Guys, did I miss something? Is everybody okay?
Yeah. Because one of the biggest things for us has always been consistency. And that's why we try to communicate as best we could on the social feeds and to the team and such during this little break. So we appreciated people missing the show. That's for sure.
Yes. Well,
so we have some updates, but we got more to talk about Destiny related as well.
Yeah, we got some Destiny things to talk about this week. We got a couple announcements here real quick. Want to touch base with our community that participated in the Game to Give charity thing that we did a few months back. A lot of you gave some donations. We had some incentives. There's a number that we're not 100% sure. We didn't have the right gamer tags on some people. We weren't sure. We wanted to make sure we knew exactly who they are, so we did the shout outs right. if you haven't emailed us and you know that you gave at a tier that had a incentive involved, email us, because we need to know both a few things. Like if you had like a game session incentive, we need to know who you want to do it with. I think there was a whole slew of people that earned a shout out on the show, and we need to know who am I going to do an impression of. Because if you don't tell me, I'm just going to decide it's going to be like Shax or Saladin or whatever, and that may be okay with you. But so the plan is we're going to try to knock all that stuff out, the on the show stuff next episode that we do, and then over February we're going to be reaching out to those who earned play sessions and things like that. We're going to get those scheduled with you guys and have some fun that way.
Yep. That sounds great. We appreciate, of course, all the donations, and we haven't forgotten about it. We did get some over these last few weeks. We did get a couple more emails. So if you're wondering, we did see a few more funnel through. So it's not too late. We appreciate you sending those.
Oh, show. And then furthermore on talking about the show. So we're going to do things a little bit differently in the near future here, because like we talked about, like just between AER0KNIGHT and I, with what's going on in our lives right now, like things, it's been tough to get together and do the show when we need to be doing it every week. So what we're going to try to do is a little compromise to, I guess, to make it, to kind of make it work with what we have going on in our lives right now. We're going to be a little less frequent, but we are going to, what we're going to try to do is have just one show probably in February, which will be sometime in the latter half of the month, most likely. And then we'll have one show in March, which will likely be sometime after the next season begins, so we can come and talk about that stuff a little bit. Because honestly, we just at a point where it's really hard for us to get together and do this on the regular basis like we need to for the next couple months, just between like what I've got going on in my life, the demands that Arrow has on his time and stuff. So we're going to try to compromise, and we hope that you guys will accept that from us.
Yes. Yeah. We're trying to do best of both worlds. We don't want, again, we enjoy doing the show. And we don't want you guys to, have to just not have an episode to listen to. So we're just trying to leave anybody do best hanging.
Like, we've been doing this every week for the most part for so long, and enjoy the heck out of it. But things change in people's lives, and like the demands on our times or on our time changes, and like there's a lot of other things that are important to us that we've got to set priorities for, especially because if you don't know, like we both have families, both have careers, wives have careers, a lot of stuff that we've got to prioritize. So we hope you'll understand.
Yes. And we know you guys well. And there will be another episode when Cyborg mentioned. We'll try to keep you posted on the feeds on that. Our plan is for there to be another episode around those times. And again, it'll allow Cyborg and I to set aside maybe some time during those time periods just to kind of focus on some things on the show, on the back end and stuff like that too. So I think it'll be good all around.
Indeed.
Yes.
So give us any feedback on that if you like. Our goal is to continue to serve everybody that listens to the show the best that we can in a way that we can. Without saying, well, we just have to stop, because that's not ideal. We don't want to leave anybody hanging. But I think it's worth mentioning as well. And Arrow, you were talking about this very specifically before the show, is we want to make sure everybody knows that just because the show's not live every week doesn't mean the community's not there. Right. It's because it's its own community. The Derp fam is its own beast. Whether we put up a show every week or not, it's still there. It exists. It's healthy. there's still a lot of people that we care about in that community, and we want you to feel like it's not going anywhere. So don't worry a thing about that.
Yes, exactly. I'm glad we talked, like you said, we talked about that before the show. Like, let's, we want to talk about that on the show. So exactly. Well put. The community is, the podcast and the community, run together, but they're not independent, they're not dependent on each other. So
yeah,
we will be in the Discord, I've been chatting it up in there the last couple of days. I've tried to get in the Discord a bit more. There's just so much going on and this or that, I'm always like lurking in the Discord, but I'm like, while I'm lurking, I need to make it a point to post because people don't know I'm there lurking, but, so that's it.
I'm a pretty notorious lurker. I've lurked for so long. It's too tough of a habit to give up.
Mm-hmm. It's like, if you don't see me in Cyborg post, just know we're lurking.
I'm there. I'm watching you. I see what you said. I saw what you said, General.
Yeah, and don't hesitate to ping us too. We don't really think or talk about that much, but we always enjoy chatting in the Discords and on Twitter and such. So always welcome to hit us up with a message or something.
Absolutely. So, with announcements out of the way, that's all that's going on right now. Not a whole lot of other things going on, but it's that time of the show where we get to bring you up to date on the best part of the week, which is the news. Are you ready for the news?
Twabby twab.
Haven't done the news in so long.
Is that even still what it's called?
I think so.
Just kidding.
This week at Bungie.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for the news. So this week at Bungie, I'm going to catch you up on 4 weeks of Bungie news.
Should see our notes. We've been building them ever since our last episode, and we just got a bullet point for each twab that we.
But I'm really not, because I'm not going to read every twab. I'm not going to do that to you. I know
right?
You probably thought I was for a second.
The show's already long enough as is.
I could. If you put me up to it, I'd be like, "Yep, I'll do that." But I'm not. I won't.
Especially the player support section, you'd be all over that.
Yep, all 4 of them.
All up.
But the reality is, we're going to pick up the highlights. What's been going on the past few weeks while we've been away, and talk about that for a moment. So, early January, first week of January, we saw a little quest for a weapon called Devil's Ruin, which is a cool little sidearm. Quest was pretty brief, which in my opinion was totally fine. Some people were like, why is this so short? That's it. It was like you did a couple things and then there was a mission. The mission I thought was kind of fun.
For a longer quest soon after, but we'll get to
longer,
that.
Yes. Very contrasting quest links there. But there was definitely some great Easter egg left in the end of that mission with Saint 14 and Shax carrying a hilarious conversation that I thought was great. I really enjoyed that. So if you missed that, then you need to go and do that mission, that quest, so you can hear Lord Shax sing a song written by Eris, believe it or not. Just kind of frightening. So
I love Destiny.
Yeah. Oh, Destiny. Never cease to amaze me. It has made me laugh, like, over the years, how, like, the writers and everybody's become, like, more aware of, like, what characters the community loves, like, what kind of things we think are funny, and just, like, slowly, like, leaned into stuff so that you end up with, like, Shaq singing, in a mission. Who would have thought?
Well, yeah, and they even talked about in that vidoc, I think, a little bit, or some, I don't remember if it was that, something about Saint 14 just in general, turning into a community favorite. It's interesting how that happens, right? Because if you told me, like, headbutting character would be, I'd be like, that's not really my first choice of, like, what I want a cool character to do. But now that I see the character and I know the lore, it's like, yeah, no, never mind. It's cool.
Oh, man.
I dig it.
Saint 14 is like, he's the dude. He's the dude of dudes. I love him so much. Devil's Ruin is a cool sidearm. It's a little gimmicky in my opinion. I feel like it's a little underpowered because on certain red bar characters or enemy AI, like you'll be attacking with it, and if you like, so if you hold down the fire button, it does like a stream of energy, right? And I find often it's like just shy of killing something. So then I have to totally reload and then try to kill that thing, and it leaves me wanting. But I kind of wish it had a little more punch to it. Might just be me.
So it's probably not, Cyborg. It's probably not just you.
Yeah. So that was something that happened first week of this month.
I don't use sidearms a lot. I did a little bit in D1. Wait, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was no land sidearm for a little bit.
Sidearms
then I moved to no land shoddy.
Were a whole thing for a while.
Yep.
There was a sidearm meta.
I don't use them. I don't know. I can't think of a time that I've used one in D2, so I'm sure I have at some point, but not for an extended period of time. There's a couple that are good.
Well, Last Hope, you know.
Yeah, I'm totally forgetting. Last Hope definitely happened for a little bit.
That was a thing.
Way back in the day.
That feels like forever ago now.
It does feel like forever ago. That I definitely did use that. That particular one, of course. That was Trials of the 9 days. Yeah. Anyways, sorry.
So other things that have gone on now, not long after that whole reset, we got an interesting puzzle pop up. Corridors of Time. If you've been under a rock and missed that one, I don't know how to break all that down for you, but it was very interesting. It was cool to see a puzzle that we didn't expect. I liked that aspect of it. And I like had a suspicion something was there with those corridors things, because when you did the Saint 14 like rescue missions, I had noticed symbols and I'm like, okay, like these symbols aren't there for nothing, you know. But I had kind of forgotten about it. But seeing all that play out was really interesting. You know, the whole like aspect of kind of how community puzzles have played out a little bit in the past, where there's, you know, some key groups and players kind of championing, like, all right, trying to solve this stuff, and then it requiring some probably more so in this case than in any other case, it required a lot of participation from lots of players, because there was it was a puzzle that had to be brute forced, you know,
right?
Like they literally just had to go and try all the routes and go into people's game instances and see, does this route, like this route could exist? Like we need to find somebody to find it to see if it's right and find a way through this maze of time.
I know, it was crazy. I didn't participate in that aspect, but I was on the feeds constantly, just watching it play out. Yeah, that's a fun part of it too. I know there's conversation sometimes of a small percentage of the community being able to contribute. This particular one, you know, there were opportunities that you could really. Sometimes there was points where certain information, you know, was crucial if you could figure it out. But nonetheless, I played the social feed watching game, and it was super fun. And then there were some videos that got posted, just catching people up on where the community was at, and then to see the maps, and it was neat. It was cool to watch it play out.
Yeah, I agree. And then I managed to get on, so I couldn't really contribute in any significant way. But I did manage to get on after everything was solved, before the night before the reset. And it took me there was lore pieces to unlock. I think there was 19 or 20, I want to say. And then there was an emblem. I think it was 19 lore pieces, an emblem. And then there was a solution, that allowed you to get into sort of a special cutscene, if you will, which, spoilers, I guess, because you can't really go back and play it now. If you missed
Right.
it, you missed a point in a potential timeline in which you are dead and you're at your own funeral, which I think it was hilarious. Did you get
Yeah,
to
no,
check
I was
that
actually
out?
going to ask you that. I didn't. And I was going to, I haven't been on quite as much the last little bit. And I saw that the time frame was coming up on that. And I'm like, it's okay. I participated in the watching of it happen, but I was going to ask you to clarify, for the listeners, like what basically that, because what was it, last reset that it, closed off?
Yeah,
if you will?
I think there was one extra week everybody had to go and like
go in and
do the solutions and get those rewards if you wanted them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which was what you said, right? It was the lore.
Yeah, you had the lore to unlock,
and
an
the emblem,
and then there was the accessing like that sort of pseudo cutscene, which then would allow you to go and start the Bastion quest early,
right
before it was supposed to be released technically, which I think, from what I understand or what I had read, maybe it was in one of these TWABs, they mentioned like that it was tied to that, all along, but it was on the roadmap to show like it would be a piece of content you would get, but like to unlock it, that had to happen, from what I understand.
Which that was the other piece of it, was all of that to get that early didn't set well fully, maybe with some, and I definitely totally see it. I think I did see some feedback that I could agree with or relate to, was either one, maybe it not being on the roadmap would have helped, or two, it being something else, another reward entirely would have helped. I guess they're both kind of one and the same, but I definitely get, I don't think it's, like many other things, it's not necessarily worth getting frustrated over, but after all of that, which you can put out a decent argument that it's the experience. I mean, Destiny's about the experience, and it's at its best when the community's coming together to do something like that. So you can't set aside that experience that everybody had, even if it was, my experience of just watching it play out. That was satisfying for me to watch that happen for another time, as a Destiny fan and a Destiny player. But, it was interesting to see that it was just that weapon early.
It's expectations are set based on past content, and puzzles to that extent in nature in the past have had pretty significant rewards attached. Like at Outbreak Prime, Sleeper
I was going to ask
Simulant.
You to how you felt with this compared to Outbreak. There's one aspect right there. The Outbreak was a total just surprise. Obviously, the content layout was different back then, but you got this thing that you had no idea existed. I think there's a lot to say about Bastion being on the roadmap, maybe.
I think it's.
But sorry, finish your thought.
I think the fault lies. So I think there's two things that could have been done better. One is if Bastion was a reward, they should have left it as a surprise and off the roadmap. Because what players were expecting was something unique that was a surprise that was not on the roadmap, that would have felt more rewarding. Right. And, they've come back and talked about that, and they've said, well, we have to walk this fine line and we want people to see the value of the season. But all that comes down to like, well, that's your job to sell. Like you're talking to me about presentation and selling something. And if your sales pitch detracts from the experience, that's a you problem. That's just my opinion. That's my 2 cents.
Right.
But that's one part of it. And we don't have to dig into that anymore. But the other part of it, I guess is like, it's a lot of work for something that didn't feel unique to a lot of people. And like you said, like all that just to unlock something early that we already knew that was coming kind of feels bad. And I was expecting something like totally unique. And outside the box,
well,
like
and then,
a weapon that we'd never seen, or
right.
bringing something amazing back, or I don't even know.
Community was speculating, obviously, because there was a sword on the grave, right? And then somebody at some point I saw something about possibly a rocket launcher. And it's funny, too, because obviously Glad in the community was a big participant in this. And it was funny because the day before, I think the day, I guess it would have been this week when Bastion was going to go live, the weapon, the quest. He just kind of snarkily, jokingly, it was totally joking, tweeted out like, well, tomorrow I'm excited we get Bastion or something like that, or we get a new exotic.
Real excited for the Bastion quest tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like, obviously completely just being funny. But
I think so.
It was, man.
So like the first fault was advertising, but the second fault, I think, comes back to like their philosophy was, okay, we want to do something that can involve as many people as possible so people can feel like they're part of it, and then make it accessible. And I think they've said, like, well, we're trying to walk a fine line, and I think that's the problem. Like, and we've talked about this so many times on the show, like, you can't always have your cake and eat it too. You got to swing one way or another sometimes, you know? Like, if you make every reward in the game so that every person can get it easily and it's quote unquote accessible, it loses its luster, right? And just the same with, like, you've got this community puzzle, and the way you structure it all just leads up to a quest everybody was going to have access to anyways, or whatever. Like, it loses its luster because it didn't feel unique. It didn't feel like the time put into it was really truly significant in the end. Like, you didn't have to do that.
Right.
You could have just said
that is a big deal.
You know,
that definitely plays a big part in it. You know, and that can lead into a larger conversation about other things. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about even back in D1. There was, while there might not have been, maybe you could say, as much regular content, there was that feeling of, like, more so, I think, that, wow, that Guardian has that. I've got to figure out how to get it.
there's weapons, and I think back to, like, they really did something unique, and they did something well when they did the quests for guns like Touch of Malice, Sleeper Simulant, Outbreak Prime, Black Spindle, stuff that really required you to put a significant amount of teamwork, time, skill to bear, and a lot of the time just dedication, like the dedication to grind to like get good at the piece of content or whatever it was, and like, or get a team together. In the case of Outbreak Prime, like, coordinate your team and follow all these instructions and go and beat this boss and do that. And it made it feel like you earned it and it was worth it, without it feeling like, it was like, I never felt like those weapons were gated. It was just like, hey, if you want this awesome thing, and this thing is pretty unique and awesome, like, this is what you do. And it's a quest, and it felt like a quest, like you're truly on a quest, like in the medieval sense, you know, like Dungeons and Dragons, like you're going on a quest to get this weapon, as compared to what we see now in Destiny. Like, a quest is, you know, a checklist, and that's what we go through for exotic weapons now. And
well, that's, yeah. And I mean, you've done it indirectly there, but you can break it down again into two parts. One, it motivates the player to go get this thing because, number two, this player has it, and this is what I got to do to get it, and I want it, right? Yeah, versus, you know, the structure we got right now with Bastion. So
yeah,
no, that's spot on.
So it's just my feedback. It's, you know, it's up to them to figure out how to strike that balance, and hopefully they'll listen to how people responded to that quest. But you know, I don't think it was all bad. Like, there was some really interesting aspects to it. It was unique.
It was cool. It was really neat.
Yeah. Going through,
especially to watch it play out,
doing all the getting all the lore and the emblem and the weapon and all that stuff. It took me like 3 hours. So, I mean, it was like, it was a time commitment to sit down and get that all done. And that was just with the solutions. And I'm not saying that complaining. I'm just saying, like, you know, I kind of had to go in there and put a little work in to get that stuff. And I'm totally cool with that. But like, not a lot of people were like, no, I'm not going to like jump through all those hoops for that. And that's totally fine, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I got the weapon,
cool.
you know, before the reset. So I got the quest a day before everybody else got the quest, you know?
Well, you know, that makes me think too, that's even another element, you know, like you said, if they're trying to ride the line, like I do get that with a lot of different things in Destiny, because while you don't want necessarily everybody to have everything, there is probably a happy medium. But, you know, maybe in this particular case, I think it would have been fine if you had to do this to get that, if you wanted it, and not another quest pop up on reset. But another thing they could have done was make it, you know, more of an exclusive thing for a longer period of time, I guess.
Well, we already have like, you know, it's basically limited to the season as it is. And then a lot of people were a little put off by the fact that the quarters of time aspect of that only lasted a couple weeks.
Right.
Maybe,
yeah.
I know it was 2, maybe it was 3. I don't recall if there was a reset in between there, but that alone is kind of sucks. I don't even know why they had to limit it that way. Like, what was the purpose of shutting that down early? Was it because they just wanted to get people online? I don't understand.
Yeah, I was a bit thrown off by that too, because I just had to make a decision that I wasn't going to do it. And like I said, I'm still playing just currently right now, just not as much as I normally am. And when I saw that popping up on my feed, like you have this much time, I was like, okay, I guess I just won't mess with that one.
And like my like total judgment on this year's content is reserved for when it's done, but I am really getting the impression that this limited time stuff is really going to be a detraction in the end in a lot of ways. I think it's going to hurt more than it's going to help.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about it before the show, and we kind of talked about saving that discussion for later, maybe even after this season. But just generally speaking, initially, I mean, like I really, really enjoyed the idea of the season pass and the content flow that we have in these seasons. But as it's been put into play, and actually experiencing it, I definitely see the criticisms of the, it feels easy to get behind. And then that kind of makes it to where you're not motivated to jump in at different periods of time.
Right.
This, is
like,
kind of
I've
an
already
example.
missed this. I'm already halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm. And I'm actually experiencing that this season. You and I talked about it a little bit. Again, we'll save it for a larger topic. Some of the community Dirt Fam has asked us to talk about it too. And I think we might wait till after the season just to kind of see how this one fully plays out. But we're aware. And I'm even experiencing it myself, Cyborg. I think you are too. You're not quite playing as much right now, but you definitely are on the seasonal grind a little bit more than I am this season still.
With the season starting like over the holidays, I was able to do a bunch of stuff, when there was downtime, knowing like things are going to be crazy in January, February, March. But if that weren't the case, like, and I didn't have that time, like I'd be, I wouldn't have touched half the content in the season yet. Right.
Yeah, and that's where, where I'm at is I didn't do the front initial grind. I was just, I think at that point I was even kind of just, taking a little break from gaming in general, just a couple weeks. And, it seems like, and I guess you could say the next season, then it'll be kind of like a refresh. But we're in the middle of it right now. We're going to let the season play out. This is another season of this. And I think you and I we might try to come back around and revisit this topic once we kind of flesh out the rest of the season. But I'm definitely right in the middle of what I hear some people expressing even, people in the Dirt Fam, of course, and some team members. We've been chatting back and forth with it. But, this quest is an example. It's super cool, like you don't want to just set aside the experience that it gave the community. It's always cool to see the community come together and do something like that. But there's definitely a bigger topic there with kind of what you've touched on and what we started talking about here with the way content's being dished out and the time factor and this or that. But we could be here all night if we dive into that topic right now.
Yeah, and there's some things that like remain to be seen, right? Like,
right. We just kind of want to
how
let
are
it
you going to feel
play
about
out.
this now versus when the season's over versus when next season starts? Like, and there's opportunities for them to pivot on stuff, even from season to season. Like, they've always said, okay, there's going to be like some dev delay on stuff because they can't always like learn something this week and implement it in next season because next season's content's like it's getting plated up in the kitchen, right? But
right, yeah,
we may see some improvements based on feedback that they got in the first season of this content year, and we may feel differently by the end of the year about the overall picture of how the content's delivered. So, like I said, I'm going to reserve judgment until it's due.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what we decided to do. One really cool thing that's come out of this is which we'll talk about in this week's TWAB. We kind of got a little bit of info on is I love the bridging between the seasons as far as a story aspect. That's really cool. Which we'll talk about that here in a minute. But just overall, it's weird. One last thing I want to say before we move on, and we'll hit on this conversation hopefully again sometime in the future. But it's different than it's not the same conversation we've had in the past about not being able to do everything, or I guess, how do you want to say it? I guess. What we've talked about before, not everybody needs to get everything, but that was, always a discussion on you just taking the time to go do it whenever you could make that time possible.
Right.
Now it's turned into, and again, I still don't have a problem with something going away, and I just, I made the decision not to get it. That, I still think that's fine, but I think what it's doing, the unintentional side effect, is it's taking motivation away to play. There's nothing worse than when you feel like you're getting behind, and it's just a constant feeling of getting behind. If you know what I mean? There's a difference between playing and or deciding not to play. Of course, you're not going to stay caught up. Totally understand that. If you're not playing as much, you're not going to keep caught up. But it's the snowball effect of the longer you don't, the less likely you're going to in this current content structure. And I think that's where a lot of the valid criticism is coming from right now.
And I think there's some dissonance that people are feeling in that, last year we got kind of a look into like philosophy into what, for instance, like the things that Luke Smith wrote and like what their philosophy behind what they want the game to be, what they want our experiences to be and what they're trying to accomplish. And, things that, Bungie said for a long time that isn't exclusive to just recently is play the way you want to play. And that's great, but there's definitely some dissonance in saying that and then the way that things are delivered. I felt like that was true last year when I could play the way I wanted to play, and that, okay, I want to chase this title now. I want to, go after this goal and play this raid now. It's not going anywhere. I want to do this thing. I want to play Crucible for a couple months. Cool.
Right.
You can't really do that anymore without having to really prioritize your time around like what else is happening and what you're going to miss.
Which we talked about, because last season I spent so much time in the Crucible initially, and it kind of threw off my title grind. Anyways, go ahead.
And that's just in terms of activities and like goals and deciding like what kind of pinnacle things that you want to chase. But outside of even that, and this isn't meant to like detract from the interesting things they're trying to do in the sandbox, but even the artifact abilities and the way that those are structured, like you can't go play in-game activities the way you want to play. Like you got to use these certain guns to use these certain mods to fight these champions. You have to use these certain abilities to be effective. You're not playing the way you want to play. You're playing the way that is most effective in that season, whether that's fun for you or not. So I feel like they're saying one thing, but they're failing to deliver on that in some ways that I believe are significant enough that it detracts from the player experience. And I think that needs some work, whatever that means.
And it's like you said. I mean, we've had a lot of refreshes in Destiny on the way we play the game and the way we're delivered content. We are, constructively talking, I mean, I guess we are pretty fresh into this kind of content structure. I know we had seasons last year, but this year now we've got the season pass, we got the artifact, we got this or that. And like you said, maybe all this feedback, obviously they're listening, will play into a more, I guess a modified structure maybe that players won't feel like this as they experience it. Because on paper, all this sounded great.
Right.
But I even think this, the season pass plays a decent role in it, even for me. I'm not even super far on my season pass right now, and it's like, and I know it's just the rewards on that season pass, but what it does for you as a player of the game is like, it's just another aspect that makes you feel behind. And then the way everything is kind of like you hinted at is all bundled into this season, and all these things you need to do if you want to get the ultimate reward, which is, let's say, the title.
Yeah, if you want to get the most out of it and really get your money's worth out of the experience and not miss anything, then you're having to play the way that they've defined it.
Right. Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah. And I don't know what the modification to that is. I mean, I have some ideas. But again, I think like you said, I mean, this is all a part of it. Like this feedback we're providing, what everybody else is providing, the Dirt Fam, like I of course they'll reiterate on it a bit. But it's almost inevitable that we had to have this conversation a little bit on this episode because we hear the feedback. We both experience it as we hear it as well. And, it's just something that we also kind of analyze as it plays out. We kind of want to reserve the rest of our thoughts until at least the end of the season, just to see how we feel, after the end of the season. It's always nice because Cyborg and I, we play the same game. The same game's our favorite game, but we've always kind of played it differently for the most part. And it always works for me and you to kind of see how something plays out and then talk it out together.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess we'll hold off on this maybe till, like we said, till the end of the season, and we'll dive in maybe some more.
Yeah, I think most of the time, the last thing that you're going to hear on this show is, the apocalypse is nigh in terms of Destiny content. Like,
right.
Some people get really like the rhetoric becomes really strong, and I'm just like,
it's the classic. When it's your favorite game and you play it all the time and regularly, even if you have a little break here or there, I mean, you see all the specific details and idiosyncrasies of the game, and it's that's why things have a tendency sometimes to sound negative is a strong word, but it's really just it's constructive criticism. It's we talk about the fun things, the cool things, and then the things we think that could have a little bit of a tweaking. And this is one of those things as we've experienced it so far. But overall, though, I mean, it's not the end. It's like we said, you'll never hear us say the end is not. How many times have we been kind of in a similar situation? You always go back to just that massive drought that happened in Destiny 1. And we all were still playing. We were all doing our thing. We had no idea. There was no roadmap. It's interesting when you compare it to that because, now, we've got a roadmap, content structure. We know stuff's coming. It's not anywhere close to that.
Right.
It's just a totally different world. Now it's different things we're focusing on. But, it's still important how the players feel when they play the game, and to provide that constructive feedback, because I mean, we wouldn't be where we're at today in the game, as far as plenty to do, and you know, whether it's something you want to do or not, you know, there's still plenty to do in this game, and without all of our feedback, you know, we may not even be at the point we're at now. So it's part of it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that all stemmed from talking about the quarters of time. I think
it did.
Right?
We weren't even gonna talk about that topic yet.
No,
we did. That's
we were
okay.
like, no, we won't talk about that this week. Sure enough. So the quarters of time, but overall, really unique, interesting piece of content that I think was pretty cool that they put together, and they talk about a little bit about the quarters of time, like puzzle and how that was put together. Which I think is really cool, like came out of something that they do every year in their pentathlon, which I think that's a really unique part of Bungie culture. And I love seeing like, hey, this part of our culture influenced something unique that we did in the game that was an idea like based out of you get what I'm saying? Like it's just something you wouldn't have come up with otherwise. That I think is really cool. But, so they talk about the development process behind that a little bit. And, I think it was last week's TWAB, and why they made it the way it was, and, you know, what their goals were and stuff. So it's a pretty cool little, article if you want to go back and read that in last week's TWAB.
Yeah, you have to check it out. Yeah, I mean, I think it's as much time as we spent on that topic, it's definitely worth it. And I know we said it a few times inside of that conversation, but it was cool. Like it was really, that was a neat thing to have in a game. I know we've had different things like that over the years with Destiny, but something that elaborate and just that cool and that community focused, and so many, you know, people were participating or contributing. It deserves to be propped up a bit, at least in the execution of such a, you know, in-depth quest inside of a always live game like that, right?
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we're a little caught up in the big scheme of things, we can get to this week's TWAB.
51 minutes.
Yep.
In.
This week at Bungie, we had to fix the timeline. So this was pretty significant stuff that went down over the reset this week. We're recording on a Thursday, which is a little earlier than normal. So this is just fresh and just happened. But there was a patch coming in, over a maintenance period right after reset. And, I think that was 2.7.1. So they talk about, we discovered an issue causing players to lose various currencies. So they immediately took action, brought the game down for maintenance. And basically they said we ended up doing the first ever character rollback in Destiny's history to ensure that no one lost any of their hard-earned materials. So this is like, that sounds okay, great. Yeah, they like used a backup and restored everything. You have to consider that you're talking about like hundreds or thousands of unique pieces of data times maybe millions.
Crazy.
That is absolutely nuts. And they did it in the span of a work day.
It just made me wonder, like, especially seeing all the updates on the feeds and this or that. They did an excellent job of communicating to the community what was going on. You know, the time frames. We'll have another update at this time. But it just made me wonder, like, what was happening behind the scenes.
Oh,
right.
I mean, first off, like, when they realized what was going on, like, they were probably flipping out. And it's funny because, you know, I always love to see it, even if it's an outsider, somebody that's an expert in a field that can give some insight and, hey, like, I hope you guys realize what's going on, because I saw this great comment talking about this after the fact. And a lot of people were talking about the fact, like, yeah, where I work, like, this would have taken a week and we would have lost half the data. Like, they're like, nobody backs this data up reliably. Nobody cares about it. If it was, this game, like, everybody would be out of luck and it would be this huge problem. And they're,
right.
And so this, this guy, I guess, is in some kind of information technology or an engineer, was just like, what they just did was remarkable. They've obviously trained for this. There were procedures in place that they followed and they executed it, and they're probably popping champagne right now. Like,
yeah.
So I think it can't be understated. Like, I mean, it's great when something goes wrong and then it's just solved and we don't have to worry about it. But just consider how bad this could have been. Like, imagine all your like, Ascendant shards or whatever, they're gone. Like, your Glimmer's gone. All your materials are gone. The things that you save up for, they can't restore them. You lost some weapons, whatever. Like, people would be flipping out right now. It would be a PR nightmare for Bungie.
What's interesting, I've thought about it many times over the last couple of years. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the show before, maybe at some point, but just as much as we've played and followed this game and been intertwined with Bungie and the development cycle of this game, and then communicating with the team here and there, you realize, like any other profession or any other company, like from a consumer perspective, especially if you're not as intertwined as we are in the Dirt Fame and such with the game, it just is a super polished game. You log in, you play, you do your thing, everything's there, all your currency's there, this or that. And it's like, well, it's just like anything else. They're a company that develops a game, and they probably put some Band-Aids on some things here and there. And you know what I mean? Like, this is an example, like you said, they clearly were prepared for this, but it just shows you, like it's like anything else. Something totally could happen.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just, we're so used to video games, or for the most part, especially AAA kind of games, like it's a service. You log in, everything's there, you know what I mean? And it's, you wonder what happens behind the scenes, that we never even know about, that could have been catastrophic for a franchise or a title or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes we do hear about it. I mean, we have seen those titles as well, that have, been buggy or this or that. But it's just interesting. And this particular thing, I thought it was funny too. I did see some people kind of, for the most part, I didn't see the community too aggravated about this. And I thought it was funny that this particular thing where they actually had to roll back, the community as a whole, at least in my feeds, seemed a little more understanding versus when they get Bastion after after a many day long quest tackling, they get aggravated.
Well, they kept the downtime. I mean, for the most part, by the end of their workday, like, everything was back online. Now,
the communication, like I said, was on point.
Yeah. So
it was on point. I even seen, I think Parsons was quoting tweets. I think it might have been this, and they were just like, and then it was very specific. We'll have another update at this time to let you know where we're at. And I think you're spot on by saying, what probably was accomplished here, and the posture and or composure they had during it, at least from a player to developer, the community communication, it was on point, man. Like, you could tell something was up, but
they were prepared. They had a plan for what would happen if this happened, and so that says a lot about, like, their support, their engineering, like, and the thought that goes into supporting this game and preventing that from happening, because all this stuff and all this stuff we do in the game, man, it's just zeros and ones on their servers, somewhere
on a server. Yep. Yep. It's crazy. It's funny because I downloaded, in this interim of DRP, I finally downloaded Destiny 2 on Xbox, and I'm like, man, is this really just going to be, am I just going to log into my Xbox account and download Destiny? Sure enough, boom. I mean, I knew that's what was going to happen. We'd already done it on PS4 and PC, but it's like, this is crazy. I had that moment again where I was like, everything's right there. There's my completed quests in my inventory. It's really just kind of crazy.
The xCloud beta that's live right now, they just added Destiny 2 support on that.
Yep.
which is pretty cool.
It's funny you say that. I retweeted right before we started recording. Phil Spencer tweeted out, he took a picture of his phone with joysticks on each end, and it's at the Destiny 2 start screen.
No way.
Yep.
Love it.
With Razer.
It's got the Razer phone.
I think and the what are the? I don't even know for sure what the. Well, it's just it looks like Xbox sticks, man.
Interesting.
Anyways, go check it out. Yeah, that's nuts. You think about where we're going with this stuff. Grief. Just play Destiny on my phone at some point. xCloud. You've been talking about xCloud for a while. xCloud just seems like it's going to be insane.
It's going to be something.
You're not a part of the preview program, are you?
No, well, I don't have any Android devices, so I didn't.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I went to sign up for it, and one of the first pillars is you got to have an Android phone.
Yeah.
Like, yep, nope.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at what you tweeted. It looks like parts of a Xbox controller. That's interesting.
Right, just attached onto his.
I wonder if this is like I don't know, some kind of device that they're making. Interesting.
Looking pretty nice.
Pretty cool. So back to the TWAB. The Empyrean Foundation. Everybody's a little excited about this piece of content, wondering what that's going to play out to be. So, kind of as expected, it is a community event of sorts. Saint 14 will ask all Guardians to contribute to building a beacon that will be a foundation for things to come next season. The Tower Obelisk will be the focal point of this event, so make sure you have it unlocked. So basically, like if you haven't gone and finished the quest, where you've got to unlock the individual obelisks, and then you have to do, I think it's like a bounty or a quest for each one that allows you to link them up. It's not too bad. It's not like Black Armory bad we're talking here. But you want to have that unlocked, and then you'll be able to contribute with, of course, your Fractaline, which is our cool made-up currency for this season that we don't know what it does or what it is, but it is a thing that you have. And you can contribute 100 Fractaline for each contribution. You get some benefits. So they're saying it's going to have 7 stages, each requiring increasing amounts of Fractaline to progress through. And there will be a hologram in the tower where you'll be able to track the community's progress in game. That I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's really neat.
When I read that, I was like, where we're at.
We've been asking for something like that as it related to something for a long time. You know, we've talked about Crucible or this or that, or that's really neat. Yeah, that's
I like it.
I'm digging that.
I like it a lot. So there's some benefits to doing this. When you contribute, you get a 25% flat progression for all time lost weapon bounties in your inventory. The Tower Obelisk will generate polarized Fractaline for you each week, equivalent to its resonance power. So that has to do with how much you've upgraded each individual obelisk, I believe, like what you've contributed to them. And then you have like a total power for the Tower Obelisk that gives you like a certain score. So that'll actually apparently give you some benefits, which is cool. And then we've got you can increase the resonance power by upgrading other obelisks, and then players who donate more than 5,000 Fractaline before the end of the season earn a triumph and an emblem. And they've got a pretty cool looking little emblem here that people are probably going to want. And I think there is a triumph for that as well. And then they've got some milestones. So stage 1, 2, and 3, we've got 400 million, 700 million, and 1.2 billion Fractaline for those. And then the next 4, 5, 6, 7 just are question marks. We don't know what we'll have to contribute to make those happen, or what they'll cause to have happen. But I'm willing to bet that we're going to reach them, because we're up for the challenge.
Seem to do so.
Yeah. So I'm interested in what this is going to be. I've definitely heard some I guess some guesses that I would guess are not too far from what could be the truth, but we'll find out. They mentioned this is kind of an outgrowth of if you remember the Mars event that we did last year. It's very similar in nature, I guess. It's like I said, I always say, like, this is a test run for something. This is definitely a test run for this.
Right. Yeah, this is cool too that it's kind of, it was on the roadmap. It's kind of turned into a community contributed kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this isn't necessarily, let's just say, this is later in the news, we can just hit it now, but there's been some stuff data mined this week.
Yeah.
And
if it's accurate,
we don't typically,
assuming it's real.
Assuming it's real. Cyborg and I have always kind of been on the page of we don't get into data mine stuff too much because it's not 100%
unless
confirmed.
It's just
or
totally salacious and we can't avoid it, right?
Right. But this particular one, things do seem to be lining up. And that's where I was kind of hinting to it. I like the way that they're kind of tying the seasons together with a story / lore elements. And, this Empyrean Foundation is obviously a piece of the overall thing with the season. And then some of the stuff that's data mined, I'm tempering my expectations and my excitement, but I'm also trying not to, I guess it's one and the same. I'm trying not to be extremely excited right now either, because if any of you know what it is, you know how excited I would be if it did happen.
Right.
But anyways,
and I'd love to see like the story tie together and do something unique in the next season that would really be like a big deal.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
That's as much as we're going to talk about it for now.
Leave it at that.
Yes.
I hope that it does play out to be a thing in which you will be excited for.
I hope so too. I appreciate that.
So that's an event that's going to be happening. I'm excited for it. That'll be a fun part of the season. Something fun you can contribute to.
Yeah, man, that I tell you what, and I know we kind of emphasized on it a bit, but it's easy to probably gloss over that what did they call it? A hologram? What did they say it was called? In the tower.
It's going to be a hologram.
We made a big deal about it, but just even as me logging in, like, I think we're going to really see how important that thing is. It's going to just kind of, we've experienced this in other games at some point, but I think it's going to play a pretty big part in making you feel like you're contributing and like what the community's doing if they do it right. You know what I mean? It seems like a kind of a small thing, but it really could just make it a really neat event if we can kind of keep up to date on, how the community's doing in that way inside the game.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't mean to jump back, but what you just said just kind of just made me think about that again.
Yeah.
So
no, you're definitely right. I think it'll be really impactful and unique to for players to see that actually in the game. Like, we've never had anything like that where we're like contributing towards this goal together and you can see it in real time. And that's why I'm willing to bet, like, more than ever it's going to get blown up, because you can see exactly where you're at, and like players will just be incentivized to be like, I want to contribute a little bit more.
I want to do some.
Let me do some more
pictures
bounties.
Will be tweeted,
let me go do this. You know, and people can be like, hey, we're almost there. Like, we need, players to get on and do this. And I know it's gonna be an event, which is gonna be fun.
I remembered what it was. I said Crucible, or it was the Faction Wars, man. It was the faction stuff.
Yeah.
Is where we talked about wanting something like that. Imagine how much that would have incentivized us if we saw like a live feed of where everybody was at. Right. This is that, except obviously in a community aspect. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut in there. But
no,
it just hit me.
I'm glad that you. I couldn't think of what it was either that we were thinking of, but that was it. Like, it'd be cool to have the factions and have those. See those in real time and have it be like a real like tug of war, as opposed to just everybody being like, well, who do you think's gonna win? I don't know.
Right,
it's
exactly. Yeah, it was
New Monarchy. Like,
and that's what we did. Yeah, imagine going to the tower and seeing like your faction was a little bit behind. And you're like, nope, forget the raid, guys. We got to get in there.
Like, all right, we gotta, because we want this weapon. We gotta win. Like, so if they figure that out and have it coded in the game, like if that ever comes back, then it could be really something a lot more fun, I think. even if it's
Definitely.
like a grindy type activity, you know?
Right. No, for sure.
So, getting back to the TWAB, something else kind of interesting this week they've got going on. If you are a Amazon Prime member, and you ever spend any time on Twitch, you know about Twitch Prime, which is a benefit of Amazon Prime. You get one free sub a month, but you also get some benefits. You know, they have free games every once in a while. They'll have cosmetic stuff in games, and following in suit, Destiny's finally came around to do something new and cool like that with Twitch, where we'll get some Twitch Prime benefits. So we've got some cosmetic gear that you can get if you have a Twitch Prime membership. You want to go log in to twitchprime.com. They've got a little splash page and you can see the Destiny 2 link. You click that. It says learn more. You link your Destiny 2 account to your Twitch Prime account and you get to claim something, and they're going to have a bunch of cosmetic loot. I haven't been able to pick mine up yet. I'm probably going to have to like log out and log back in. But it looks like, basically we're looking at like some like year 1 and year 2 Eververse stuff that have been in the loot pool in the past. But cool stuff like the stuff for this month or this week, whatever it is, or like 2 Suro skins, the one of the Warmind ships that were pretty cool in a ghost shell. So if you haven't earned that stuff, you know, you can get that stuff for free through this promotion, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. And so they'll have, I think this was it going on for, I want to say it'll be going on for 6 months or 6 weeks. Let me see. They're going to have, so 6 monthly drops, with each drop containing 4 rewards. So that'll be going on for the next 6 months this year, all the way into the summer.
Yeah, there, I see it there. It's funny, we've had Prime for quite some time, but I've always thought it's a neat thing, especially when they launched it. I was just kind of surprised, you know, gaming type initiative like that. It's super cool. I'm going here now because I don't go to Twitch a ton. At least recently, I have 39 notifications on my loot menu.
Well, they have a lot of stuff every month
on loot.
A lot of different stuff, Apex, all kinds of different Madden, games. Yeah,
Borderlands, all kinds of stuff.
You name it. Yeah, they still got like Red Dead multiplayer stuff on there. There's
PUBG right there. I actually played that for a minute this week.
Oh wow, I haven't thought about that game in a long time. So go check that out. I think you've gotta, if you want to get all the stuff, you've got to claim it during the period in which it's available. And as long as you claim it on Twitch Prime, on the site, you'll be able to get it, you know, whenever you want in the game. And you go, and guess who the vendor is, which I think is just great. Amanda Holiday. That's who's giving you the stuff.
There you go.
Man, I got to say something real quick. So the seasonal activity, the sundial, you know, getting a little aggravated with it. And this just happened. I'm going to tell you why. Not because of anything to do with the difficulty or the gameplay or anything, but the sundial itself is a little buggy. So I've had 2 different related incidents where this spinning sundial is causing me to have some problems. So first time is like when the heroic sundial came up. I went and did that with a buddy, and we, it's not match made. And so it was really late. So we found like an LFG group on the PC LFG Discord and jumped in. You know, we get through it all, and I like it. You know how it teleports you when you finish an encounter? Well, it teleported me to like the sundial central area. In the place where it dropped me, and then the sundial spun and killed me. Okay. Which is like, okay, like, you know, whatever, not the end of the world. Well, when I respawned, it spawned me in the boss arena, and I couldn't get back to the sundial area. And in order to claim your reward in the heroic, you have to do it at the end of the thing. And it's a prestige, or, you know, whatever level drop. So I missed the drop. I didn't get the drop because I kept killing myself, and I would just respawn in the boss area because the daggum sundial killed me.
I don't mean to laugh.
Oh, it's funny. Believe me. But it was frustrating. So I'm like, okay, but it's not the end of the world. Like, I'm not on the prestige power grind or whatever. So it wasn't the end of the world, but I'm just like, I did that basically for no reward.
Right.
So now, I'm sitting here just, we're talking, and I'm just kind of mindlessly running Sundial, just to get some Fractaline or whatever. And I was like, well, I haven't gotten this Triumph yet to do like the flawless one. So like, I'll just kind of hang back and like shoot guys with my scout rifle so I can just kind of knock this out while I'm hanging out here. So I'm doing fine. Like, I get through all the encounters. I haven't died. And, we're getting ready to go to the boss area. And I'm just running forward on the ground, not jumping towards the portal. And the sundial, like, I'm not even in the area where the sundial is spinning, just randomly whacks me, throws me across the sundial area. I hit the background and die. Like, me and the sundial are not getting along. Like,
there goes
me
that.
and Cyrus, you're going to have words about this prototype of his.
I'm sorry, buddy.
I had to voice my frustration there.
Hey, anytime.
It's a little buggy. Little buggy.
You'll get it.
I'll get it. I'll just have to do it again and hope that the sundial doesn't kill me. Anyways, to wrap up the news, they're doing some Guardian giveaways this week, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
They had a couple different contests. One was the one that's live right now when we're recording is a collection of the Grimoire anthology books, the coloring book, D is for Destiny, and then a autographed Shadowkeep Collector's Edition. You've got to go retweet and do a little hashtag to enter. Follow Bungie Store on Twitter. There was another one, and it was like I think they said it was like 5th anniversary bundle. And it was a bunch of cool stuff along with the collector's edition. So some cool stuff they're doing there. They also have on the store this week, I think, some bundles that are like a discount, for buying all this stuff together, which is kind of cool. So go check that out.
Always cool.
Finally, this is something that's happened over this month. The Guardians for Australia, if you're not aware of these intense wildfires that basically have the entire country of Australia on fire, that's a thing, and it's terrifying. And so Bungie decided to try to do something to contribute to some causes to help out there. So there's a shirt on sale that I really love. This shirt, by the way, I love this design.
I really like it.
It's called Guardians for Australia. It's available for pre-order on the Bungie store. Half the profits go to the NSW Rural Fire Service, and the second half goes to the WIRES, Australia's largest wildlife rescue organization. So it's a pretty cool little shirt. It's like a charcoal gray black with this great design, I want to say this is not a savanna because that's not what they use, but like a bush, an Australian bush with some kangaroos or wallabies or something. And then you've got an awesome Arcadia jump ship flying across the Traveler. Pretty cool little shirt. Pretty cool. And you also get an emblem, which, I know you people are crazy about your emblems. So
always works.
Go pre-order your shirt and do it because you want it and it's a good cause.
I'm still rocking my Trials emblem, and I will continue to rock it until.
I kind of threw in the cards on the Destiny 2 emblem game. Like Destiny 1, I was all about like getting and earning, unlocking every emblem. But, they realized how much people love emblems in Destiny 2. And there's got to be like 1,000 emblems by now. I don't even know.
There's so many. Yeah. I've been tempted to switch it a couple of times, but I don't know. It's probably been about 6 months now. I'm rocking my D2 Flawless until Trials possibly
do
comes
it, man.
back.
Just keep it on, and it's like a hunger strike.
It's
on
on all three characters still.
You're on
Still
Emblem
there.
Strike until it comes back.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it a lot. They talk a little bit in Destiny player support about the update and rolling back accounts, and what occurred because of that. You know, there's some stuff that were undone. If you did anything between 8:30 and 10:30 Pacific Standard Time before the reset, it's all been rolled back because apparently they went off a backup that happened at 8:30 that morning, which thank goodness there was such a fresh backup.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have to do some things. Even silver purchases were like rolled back and put back as they were. And then I guess I'm not even sure, but I'm assuming like, did the actual like update stay live, or is that like completely undone too? I didn't even get
I'm not sure
a fix on how that played out. Man, that shows that I'm not paying a good enough attention to what's going on.
Well, no, I'm not sure either. I don't know that was either. I missed it too, if that was fully communicated. Because I mean, the patch notes for that thing was way heftier than I thought they were going to be. I know we got some previews. Yeah. So
we'll find out next week or the next time we talk and let you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this leads me to believe that the update did go through, because it says tower load times have increased after update 2.7.1.
Yeah, so they just rolled back, fixed whatever it was, and pushed the rest of the update out.
Seems to be the case. So I'm going to look here. We've got movies of the week that are pretty cool that you're going to want to check out. Over in the update, there's some quality of life stuff with a few activities that are worth checking out. Some things in the director that they've improved, which are great. They've done some stuff tweaking some weapons and armor that are important that you should check out. A whole bunch of great quality of life sandbox stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, reading through it. A lot of quality of life stuff.
It's pretty long. There's a lot of extensive patch here. So a lot of good stuff, but like nothing like groundbreaking here. I think one thing that is worth mentioning, because I care about it, is that there was a little bug with the unveiling lore, which was like the lore that you could pick up from Eris every week, that was telling you this story basically from the darkness talking to you, which I found was fascinating. And the last lore entry was bugged. I think for some people, not for everybody. And I think they've patched this where you can go and pick that up now, which has a triumph associated with it. So if you haven't done that, go pick it up so you can finish
Cyborg
your
feels better.
commune with the darkness, if you will. So that's this week at Bungie. That's the news.
I was going to say, too, you kind of hinted at the large numbers for this Imperium Foundation community event, but Cosmos says here, too, he says, we look forward to watching the community mobilize and forced to answer our challenge. We always try to set the bar high since you have crushed our expectations in the past. Let's see what you've got this time. So it leads me to believe kind of what you said earlier. They've got it set pretty high this time.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what those other stages, those thresholds are.
I hope like there's something, not just like that there's a goal, but like something cool unlock, you know, even if it's just cool. Like, I don't know, like a mini pseudo cutscene or something funny happens. You know, I don't even care. Like at this point, like just give us a goal to hit. We'll break it.
Something,
you know?
Yeah. If anybody can do it, the Destiny community can.
Yes.
Set the bar high.
That's true. So, Arrow, that is the news, my friend. That's all I've got to deliver.
That is the news.
Yep.
Many a twabs. Many a things.
So, shall I present the weekly query? How was your reset?
Oh, man. It's been several resets.
Resets.
I remember what we talked about as far as what we were doing last time. Of course, I'm still playing Destiny. I We hinted on it in the larger topic that we're going to save for after the season, but I'm not playing Destiny as much as I usually am, but I'm still playing it. It is still my favorite game, but I'm not quite on the typical grind that I'm at. It's if you had plotted on a calendar, like maybe this is for every Guardian, like when you kind of break a little bit from gaming and or maybe your favorite game. I wonder if it would be like the same time every year and you just don't realize it. But I have definitely I'm still logging in, doing some things here and there, getting caught up, basically what I've been doing is just trying to clean up my quest log. I've got some things that I've got pages and it needs to be cleaned up. And I'm trying to do that thing, just trying to knock some stuff out. I was trying to get caught up on my Saint 14 stuff. So that's kind of what I've been doing as I've logged in. I'm definitely not up to speed quite on the seasonal, title triumph type of things. I really initially was, thinking about going for the Savior title, but, I've kind of had that effect where I just happen to be not playing as much as I usually am right now. So I feel like I've gotten behind a little bit, and I think it was this week, I was going to sit down and look at the triumphs and just get a plan together. And then I realized I only have about what do we got? Like, a month?
Yeah, we've got about like 4 weeks, I guess.
And I just thought to myself, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't want to do the opposite and just wear myself out. So I think I'm just going to continue to casually play at the moment. I'm sure at some point it's going to get back to my normal rates. I've been, and I haven't been not doing this because of gaming, so I don't want it to sound like that, but I've kind of been, along with the just busier schedule, I've been trying to squeeze in working out. Of course, family time is high priority, but when people are sleeping, I've actually tried to squeeze in a little bit of a workout session a few times a week.
Nice.
Versus playing video games. And again, not that video games stop me from doing that. It's just a matter of, like we always talk about, doing what you can with the spare time you have.
Right.
And I've been sleeping more.
That's good, man.
It is good, but I don't require that much sleep. So now I don't want my body to get used to sleeping more, because I've trained it for years to only need 4 or 5 hours.
Don't get used to this. This is a luxury.
Right. Yeah. So anyways, long story short, I'm still playing, still having a good time. I don't think I'm going to grind out some of the stuff for this particular season. If some things possibly happen, if they come true for next season, it could be
come back
complete.
With the vengeance,
like I'm typically in, even when I'm playing Destiny like regularly, I probably am playing at a more normal rate right now, maybe a little less, because typically I'm logging in 3-4 nights a week, grinding stuff out. But it's a couple nights a week, maybe at this point, off a week or two here or there. But, there could be a chance that if that happens next season, it could be the complete flip of where I'm at right now. But what I have done in trying to get kind of caught up on some of my quests and stuff like that, and just kind of cozily take it easy in the game and do things here and there, I have fit in some other games. And I don't want to spend a ton of time on those, but we've talked about this. It is healthy to have those time periods where there's so many games out, man. Like it's healthy to play another experience here or there, if you can, alongside Destiny. And I've done that over this little break. And I've said it the last couple episodes that we had. I did play through Bastion finally, old school.
I saw that, man. That's such a great game.
Yeah. It is. It was so long ago that game came out, and played through that game. And it's cool, too, to interact. Like I was kind of tweeting as I was playing through it, and I tagged Supergiant a couple times, and they favored it and responded to it. It's always fun to interact, as we do with Bungie on games, especially as you play through them. And then I always wanted to play this game, and I'd never heard anything bad or crazy great about it, but I played through, I guess you say, is it called Abzu? I don't know how you say it. I don't know. ABZU, and all it is it's like Journey. If you ever played Journey, it's just an experience. You basically are underwater for almost the entire game, scuba diving, and you just experience, very linear. You got a couple areas where you go around and do a couple things, but the soundtrack is like this classical orchestrated type of music. And I ended up following the guy. Somebody actually tweeted it to me. I watched a little behind the scenes of it. It's an experience, man. Like, it's so good. It reminded me how immersive like a game like that can be. Like, I just didn't even want to stop playing it. And it only took me about 2 hours to beat it. And it was a PS Plus free game at one point, so I had it just in my library. And you just go through and all these different kinds of fish, and you just kind of, you get like, what is it called? Is it like what do they call it in the ocean? It's in Finding Nemo.
The currents.
Yeah, like the heavy currents, where, you know, the turtles, you know, all that stuff. You get caught in a couple of those, and there's all these different kinds of sea fish and sea animals and sea life and stuff. And it is an experience. I can't say enough. If you can spare a couple hours in your gaming time to play through it. It may not be your cup of tea, but it was mine, big time. The music, just the colors, the art, everything about it was just fantastic. And again, I kind of communicated a little bit back and forth with their team as well after I played it, which is always fun, you know, when you can talk to the development team a little bit about it. So I did that. That game was super fun. And now I'm playing, finally opened up, ripped off the wrapping of God of War. And I've started God of War. So I'm doing all this as I'm logging in, playing Destiny here and there. So it's been one of those at a time. Luckily, Bastion, even though there was some depth to Bastion that I didn't even know was there, you know, those are games you can kind of knock out fairly quick and then kind of move on to the next. So it's been kind of nice I've been avoiding, like, not that I don't want to play them, but like Red Dead style games that
stuff
we've
that's
talked
like
about that before, that might be hard to beat. That's always a challenge to play those when you're playing Destiny constantly, right?
Yeah.
So, but I didn't realize all the God of Wars in the past were kind of linear experiences. This God of War doesn't appear to be that, but it appears to be a little more open world. I haven't been spoiled at all with it, so I'm trying to not hit any spoilers, but it's already kind of opened up into
the two.
Okay, you beat it.
Yeah, well,
That.
Well, I'll tell you a dirty secret is I didn't beat it. I got to the very, very end, and like,
okay.
I just didn't want it to end, and I just didn't finish.
Didn't do it. I tell you what, man. Like, I'm only like an hour into the game, but it reminds me, totally different kind of game. But the Abzu or whatever that I played through, I'm probably totally saying that wrong, but it's totally different game. But it did what it did for me immediately. Is the way that they're dishing the experience out to you is just so raw and real, and I'm just instantly just fully invested in it. And I always heard great things about it. It's been out a couple years now, but I can just tell, like, it's the classic, like, you're not like, well, man, I need to do this, but I don't really feel like doing this, but I'll grind it out and then I'll log off, you know, whatever game you're playing. This is like, you don't want to stop playing. But it's what I've experienced so far with God of War. But anyways, that's what I've been up to for the last several weeks. I am going to, of course, try to get some stuff done before the end of the season. But I'm not stressing too hard on this season. Again, kind of got some hints at hopefully maybe what's coming next season, and I might return back to the maybe less of a semi-casual Destiny play and back to the hard grind that we're typically on. But anyways, that's been my last several resets.
Nice.
I have that even in video games, that OCD where I know in Destiny, like, I just like to wrap stuff up, and I have so many open quests open right now that I haven't gotten to. Whatever it is I'm doing in the game, I'm not knocking some of those out, and it's like turned into my priority now is to clean up my stuff, my quest log.
Yeah, no doubt.
Anyways, yeah. What have you been up to, man? What have you been doing?
You know, keeping up with the new stuff that's come out, you know, over the past month or so as that stuff is rolled out. You know, I got I got my hands on Bastion. Kind of a cool gun, man. It's really just like a charge-up shotgun is what it truly is.
Yeah, I've watched it in some clips of people using it in the Crucible.
Yeah, it's fun to play around with. It's definitely unique. And then kind of knocking through some of the triumphs. I've got to finish the pinnacle weapon, the Crucible pinnacle weapon. Just got to get some more linear fusion kills. I think maybe like 30 more, and then go knock out the glory rank. And so once I have that done, it'll just be like whatever they put out left at the season. Yeah, like the rest of the events and stuff, which should be fun. So keeping up with that stuff a little bit, but kind of playing just a little here and there to keep up. Like I alluded to in the show, like I've had a lot on my plate at the beginning of the year, and really have spent a lot of time like working, keeping up really the best I can with the family and what they need, trying to sleep a little more, not going to bed quite as late because I'm trying to take care of myself and be more productive, which when you're tired sometimes it's hard to focus on stuff when you keep yourself up too late playing games.
Definitely.
And then I'll tell you my favorite thing that I bought, I bought myself as a Christmas present. I got myself a Kindle because I was like, like years ago I used to read tons and tons of fiction. Like I've always loved like sci-fi and fantasy fiction, and I've read countless fiction throughout my life, and probably like the past 5 years, I just really got into like a nonfiction like bender and like consumed tons and tons of nonfiction because I just wanted to learn more. And I got to a point where I was like, man, there's all these great series, there's all these great books that I've kind of like kept in the back of my head. Like, I want to go read this, I want to go read that. I was like, I'm going to get a Kindle so that like I have it handy. And instead of like the downtime that I might have like sitting on the couch or like doing whatever when I'm just kind of hanging out, nobody's demanding my time. Like instead of like browsing Twitter or looking at Reddit, whatever, I'm just going to read my Kindle. And I've been like reading through this month, like I'm on, which one am I on? I think book 5 of the Witcher series,
nice.
Which is phenomenal, by the way. I absolutely adore it. So that's been great. And I'm going to read the Expanse series after that because I've been itching to read that for a long time.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's something else I've been up
That's
to
cool.
that, I kind of like, I'm not spending more time doing that. I just kind of replaced a habit.
That's what I was, like working out or,
like instead of like going on social media as much, I'm just like, nah, I don't care. Like I'd rather like read, 10 more pages of this book when I have like this 10 minutes or whatever, while I'm waiting for this or whatever. Like the kids are just chilling, watching TV and I'm sitting on the couch with them, and,
right. Yep.
And I've been surprised like how much actual reading I've gotten done. I was like, man, I should have started doing this years ago. But like getting the Kindle means that I'm not like, oh, let me go find my book, or I have to like order these paper books. Like, all right, I'm done with this one. Let me put this one right on here. And all right, I'll start this book now. And it's cheaper actually in a lot of cases because you're going to pay like $6, $7, $8, $9 for a book digitally compared to like $12 to $25 for like a paper or a hard copy of a book,
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So that's something new I've been up to. And so if you are listening, if you know of like great fiction series, send them my way. I'm always looking to get into a new series or like a new writer.
I've always kind of been that way with books as well. I lean towards the nonfiction because I want to learn something. Not that you don't obviously learn something reading fiction, but I actually got a couple books for Christmas. I've been reading a little bit, trying to read a little bit more as well. typically, right before I crash or something. But I do like both of them that I got were nonfiction, right? It's just funny. Typically, the way I consume fiction is usually a different medium.
Yeah.
But it is nice. Like I've thought, like you said many times, to try to fully get into like a series of fiction books, to just really dive into characters and stuff like that versus video game or movie or TV show or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds fun. So you said The Witcher's what you're on now, or you?
Yeah, no, I'm still on those. I think I'm on book 5, and I think either I'm 4 or 5, and I think there's 2 more books
That's
left
cool.
that have been published. I don't think, from what I understand, the writer he pretty much finished the arc of the characters in the series that he has written.
I'd be interested if any listeners send you stuff. You have to tag me in it, because I'm always interested in finding a super, just an interesting series.
Yeah.
Just to try to consume it that way in a novel format versus TV series or something.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool, man. Always good to make time to read.
Yeah, it's good.
Always a good thing.
It's good for your mind. It's good for your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been up to. I haven't really been playing much of any other games. Just keeping up with the Destiny, and that's enough for me right now. I want to go back soon though, and play some more Jedi Fallen Order. That was something I was playing a little bit over the holidays, and I want to finish because everybody raves about it so much, and I was enjoying it, but I think I'm maybe only like halfway through the game, so I want to go finish that.
Yeah.
I'll try to make
I actually did start that game. I made it like an hour or 2 into it, but I just decided, sometimes when you start a game, it's even as fun as it sounds, it just wasn't hitting my mood at the moment. So that's when I rolled back to the other ones that I mentioned.
I found it a little challenging at first until you start to unlock more capabilities and ways to fight or abilities to use that give you more options with the enemies and stuff. And I found I started to have more fun once I got a little deeper into it.
Gotcha.
As opposed to the beginning, I'm just like getting my butt whooped, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess I could just try these 2 moves again,
Definitely. Yeah, I was getting worked a little bit. I realized I needed to move on from this boss and power up a little bit before I came back. At some point, I definitely hope to return to it. Just been playing those. Of course, my son and I have been destroying some Minecraft still. We're absolutely loving it. Our survival world and on our realm is just getting more and more in depth. We got the Nether portal up now, and we've ventured into the Nether.
Oh wow! I don't even know about that.
Yeah, man, it's fun. But start Minecraft reset if I'm not careful.
Yeah. Watch it now.
Anyways, that's cool, man. That's good stuff, dude. Seems like we still fitting in the Destiny play, but maybe just working in some other things here and there.
Yep.
I'm curious to the listeners. Of course, you're playing Destiny like we are, but if you're playing any other games, always don't hesitate to shoot me and Cyborg a message. Let us know what's good, what you played.
Yes, please.
I know Monkey in the communities was talking to me today. He's thinking about starting Spider-Man. That is a game that I fully completed. I didn't do all the side stuff in the DLC, but man, that is an experience.
Yeah,
if you haven't played
Spider-Man
yet, gotta play it. Yeah,
might get to it eventually.
That's a good one. Need to. Definitely
gotta choose my battles wisely,
Yep. Tackle the other games just like we tackled Destiny.
Like I saw today, like Outer Worlds is coming to Switch, and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't finished that either. Another game I need to go finish and play. I forgot even existed for a little while.
Every time I hear that game now, I think of Outer Wilds too, and that's a game I've almost picked up a couple times, but I haven't yet.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that too. I think our buddy Joe Meaden was recommending that.
Yeah, yep. I was trying to figure out what I was going to play next. That was on the list, and then another one was oh my goodness, what's that survival game? It's The Long Dark.
Oh yeah.
I've always wanted to play it, and I played. There's a trial actually on Microsoft for Windows and Xbox,
is it on,
and I played
it on Games Pass now?
I think it's on Games Pass and it's Play Anywhere.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I believe, yeah. So I played through the trial, which I think you get like an hour or two, and I actually think I may get it. I just decided to play Bastion. I think
the thing I've heard about The Long Dark
played Abzu
is like So there is like a underlying like narrative of like what's going on in the world around you, but like
they've got some episodic kind of stuff that they're still releasing too, I think. Yeah.
What I understand about that game though is it's basically just about like how long can you survive, and it's just about seeing how far you can push that until you eventually die, because you will eventually
I've heard
die.
people people have tweeted me and been like, that's or either I've seen just on some forums and stuff, they're like, it's a true survival game.
Yeah.
It makes me think totally different kind of game, at least art style, but like I love Don't Starve. Played that a lot back in the day. And I think there might be a bit more pieces to it as far as staying alive, but you eventually, it's like inevitable. You're eventually going to be toast.
Yeah. Like things will get bad enough and you can't avoid, and you just die eventually. So it's just about, okay, I made it 9 days this time or whatever.
Yeah, it was super cool. Like just in the trial I played, at nighttime came around and I wasn't ready for it, so I had to like light a match to figure out where the fireplace was and where I could put down my sleeping bag. Like it's legit. Like it is legit surviving. So I was like holding a match in my hand.
I sat like once and like I just watched somebody stream it for like 2.5 hours once, and I was just enthralled because it was just literally just watching this guy like scrap by, try to deal with these like terrifying problems that were happening around him, and like how he was improvising. It was really interesting.
Just in the little bit I played it, like I had to decide if I could make it to a building or if I needed to get in this cave to light a fire. It's exactly what you said. Like it's super real. Yeah. As far as it's what intense. You would think it would be like a game version of real to try to survive. Yeah. But anyways, tangent.
Yep. So. Well, that was our reset this week. Normally we would have some Dirt Fam discourse. We're going to hold off on discourse this week. And take any discourse that you got. Send us what you're up to, what you thought about some things we talked about on the show this week, what you think about the season. Tell us what you're playing, and we'll have some discourse ready for our next show that we do in February.
Yes,
we do. So if you want to do that, email destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a speakpipe.com/destinyreset. Also, we have a Discord channel, right?
We do have a Discord channel with lots of Guardians.
Is it called Discord? What's the channel that we use for feedback?
Sorry. We have a Discord with lots of Guardians, but you asked me what the channel was. The channel is DRP Show
That's
Questions.
What it was. Yeah.
Yes.
Remember what we named it.
There you go.
DRP Show Questions. So you can post there too, if that's easiest for you, which might be. And we'll see those, and we'll use those. We have some patron shout-outs this week, right?
Yes, we do. Shout out to Mike is Flash and Mr. Monkey.
All right. Thank you guys for becoming patrons. If you don't know what a patron is, go to patreon.com/destinyreset. And for as little as $1 a month, you can support the production budget of our show. By doing that, you get a few perks. You get a shout out on the show right now, right here, just like we just did. You get your gamer tag on our website, right? You post it up there forever and ever. And then you also get access to another Discord channel that's just for Dirt Fan patrons and supporters, wherein you get to be like, hey guys, where's the show this week? What's the deal?
What is going on, Guardians? Where's the episode?
But we thank all of our patrons. They help us keep the show live and at a high quality, and help us have a budget to pay for things that it costs to put this on and do it well. And so we appreciate that.
We do. Very much.
And maybe we'll try to do something for you guys special over the next couple months, since we won't have regular episodes. We'll talk about that.
I think that's a good idea. I like that idea.
Patrons. All right, man. Is that the end of the show? I don't remember how to do this anymore.
This is Phil. I wondered it was going to feel a little strange when we hit record. because it's been a few weeks. But no, I mean, for the most part, here we go. Rolled right back into it.
We got it. We didn't
do
miss
something
anything,
for 4
right?
years. What is next, though? Is it the plugs?
Yeah, I think I say,
next?
where can people find you on the internet?
And I say you can find me on Twitter and YouTube at AER0KNIGHT with a 0. What about you, buddy?
Perfect. CyborgSasquatch on Twitter. You can find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter. You can find us on the web, www.destinyresetpodcast.com. That's your source for all things DRP, including links to everything. Finally, we've got
acting like it's been
a Discord channel.
year since we've done this.
Yeah, I know. We've got a Discord channel too. If you want to join this community, hang out with cool people that play Destiny and the like, you can join discord.gg/Destiny Reset. You're welcome if you're cool. Are you cool? You can join. Come on in. Even if you don't feel cool.
Be cool.
Be cool. There you go. Be cool about
you are cool.
safety. Yeah, that's the show. This is a wrap.
That's the show. We got some reviews too over
yeah.
these last few weeks.
Apple Podcast reviews.
We did. I'm gonna say a few of these. I'm gonna save one for you because I just want to.
Okay.
We got 66 JLAT10. I want to say JLAT. That's from Canada. Thank you so much. Nick 666-444-8888. Thank you so much. Love that nickname on iTunes. Unkind Sample, thank you. Savage Fire 765, thank you. That's Canada as well.
Okay.
That was a pretty long written one, I believe. Very much appreciate the kind words. I'm going to skip this next one because I'm saving it for you. You knew that was going to be the one. And then Samp 7729.
I knew it wasn't going to be like the last one. I was looking through.
No, and Samp, thank you so much for your review. And we're going to circle back. And I've said this nickname like multiple times because it's just interesting. But I want you to say it now if you don't mind.
Real proud to announce we've received a review from Poo Face Bucket Nose Lip. Thanks for your review.
I don't know why. I wanted you to say it too. I've said it to myself multiple times now, typing it into the show notes. And anyways, thank you for saying it. You entertained.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
If that's what I can do for you today, then that's what I can do.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for the reviews. We are one away from 350. I think we're still sitting at 349. So that means a lot to have that many of you take time to leave a review. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's a lot of
appreciate the stars.
Awesome guardians and guardians that don't appreciate our vocal tics as well. And I take that just the same.
Yes, exactly.
All right, man. Until next time.
Have fun playing Destiny 2 and take care, Guardians.